We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to Fibs Reacts, and I am so excited. I am so happy to be making this video because I can finally say I think Marvel is back. Now guys, listen, I have not thoroughly enjoyed a Marvel movie in a really long time. I think the last time I actually enjoyed watching a Marvel movie in the theater, the last time was probably Endgame. I mean, Endgame. That was how many years ago? And since then, Marvel just really hasn't been hitting on much as far as movies or television goes. Now, having said that, I did enjoy WandaVision, which does play into today's video about this new Fantastic Four movie, because this movie was directed by Matt Shakman, who did WandaVision. And I think it was such an appropriate choice to have him do this movie, especially given the aesthetic of the film, which right off the bat I think is amazing. Remember in my last video when I was talking about, how they're giving another go at the Fantastic Four and they really have to do something different? Well, they did something different and it worked. I love the look of this movie. It looks, just so different, like nothing that we've really seen before. There's elements of old 1960s, almost like sitcom type thing. Something like Leave It to Beaver, mixed with a little bit of the Jetsons. And then you get the, action, more sci-fi elements of the movie, which are reminiscent of something like Interstellar. Now, I will be getting into spoilers for this movie, but I did just want to say from the start, for those of you who haven't seen the movie yet, this is a great movie. If you're like myself and you've been, kind of wary about, Marvel stuff, and you're I'm just kind of burnt out on it, or it just hasn't been good or whatever, trust me, this is different. This is good. So let's start off with the cast. Now, I will say, I had my doubts about Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards. Again, not to say that, Pedro is a bad actor, because I do think he is a good actor, and there are a lot of other roles that he's done that I've enjoyed. But I was like, Reed Richards, I just can't really see it. But he is a great Reed Richards. He brings a lot of that, nerdiness to the character, but he's also, strong. He's a leader, and he's a great, husband, a great father. So yeah, I think he did great. Next up, we have Vanessa Kirby, which, I mean, I don't know, man. I'm finna come around like Namor, bruh. I'm finna. But in all seriousness, Vanessa Kirby was great as Invisible Woman. Beautiful, very charming. And seeing Invisible Woman as a motherly role, which we've never really seen before, was just, really refreshing and really interesting to see. Next up, we have Joseph Quinn as the Human Torch. Again, I kind of have my doubts, but he's great, and he's actually Johnny. There were, whispers going around that, they were gonna kind of tweak and kind of change his character to fit a more modern audience, but no, this is Johnny. This is the Johnny that we all know and love. And the one thing that I think is special about this Johnny compared to, ones we see in the past, this is an incredibly selfless Johnny, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he is Johnny Storm. Yes, he's still cocky. He, still, loves women, and he's still, he still picks at Ben Grimm and all this stuff. He's still a hothead, but at the same time, there's so many moments in this movie where you're like, wow, he's actually a good guy. And finally, that brings us to EMB as the Thing, and I think he was great. Even though he is a mocap character, a CGI character, you can still, that a lot of the acting still comes through. it doesn't feel plastic. It doesn't feel, you know, like there's no emotion there. Like they really did a good job of, you know, even though he is a CGI character, they were still able to bring a lot of emotion. The Silver Surfer, I think, was great. I know that there was a bit of an uproar when they first kind of announced that she was going to be female, but honestly, like, I don't really care. Like, Silver Surfer, male, female, I mean, whatever. And honestly, the fact that she was female, I think, you know, kind of added to this fun kind of interaction between her and Johnny. We also had an inclusion of Mole Man, which I think was pretty interesting. I knew that there were, you know, kind of rumors that Mole Man was going to be in this movie, but I didn't really know how they were going to fit him in. And I think it was really interesting, you know, kind of getting into spoilers here, but, you know, the fact that, you know, it's kind of like that old saying, you know, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And I think, you know, the way that obviously Mole Man is this notorious Fantastic Four villain, when there comes a greater threat in something like Galactus, he comes in and he helps out, because I mean, this is like the fate of the world that we're talking about. And they gave him like his classic goggles that like he wore in the comics, which I think is really cool. And now let's talk about Galactus. Oh my gosh. Now, I didn't really know how they were gonna make Galactus work. And mostly I'm talking about like scale. And I was like, you know, they're gonna have him in his like classic comic book costume. Like, how is that gonna work? Like, I couldn't really, you know, factor like how that would translate to, you know, live action. But they did such a good job with Galactus. That first time that like we see him, and, you know, the Silver Surfer kind of brings the Fantastic Four in front of Galactus, and at first you don't see anything, and then it's like his eyes just, and then he like comes into view, and you literally, like, even though I'm watching a theater screen, which is like right in front of me, I'm literally like looking up. Jesus. I mean, he is massive, and they did such a good job on, you know, portraying that scale, even, you know, on something like a theater screen. Ralph Ineson as Galactus is like fantastic, no pun intended. His voice is great. It like shook the theater every time he spoke. And, you know, I was like, after Endgame, I was like, how can it get any bigger than Thanos? But then in comes Galactus, and he truly presented himself as like an intimidating villain, as opposed to someone like Kang, which I'm kind of like, what's Kang gonna be, you know? But yeah, Galactus, fantastic. Love Galactus. I wanted to bring up the Fantastic Car because, you know, this is obviously, you know, something that it derives from the comics, and was something else that I was kind of like, I don't know about that, you know, coming into live action. I'm not really sure how that'll look without it just kind of being cheesy. But no, like, this thing is sweet. I mean, this thing is like the Batmobile, you know, whether it's flying or whether it's, you know, like racing down the street, like that one scene where Sue's like whipping it around. I'm like, okay, mama, all right. But yeah, no, like the Fantastic Car, like it looks good, it sounds good, it fits, you know, that retro kind of futuristic era just so well. Yeah, it's, I mean, really cool, really great design for the Fantastic Car. I mean, they just really hit like so many elements of just what makes a good Marvel movie, what makes a good movie in general. There's the right amount of emotion, there's the right amount of action, there's the right amount of humor, which isn't, you know, James Gunn corny Superman humor. No, I mean, this is like, it's smart humor, it's sprinkled in there, it's not just shoved in your face, like it's there, but it's subtle, which works really well. And I did not expect this movie to like really make me emotional. I mean, especially in the end where I'm like, are they gonna Invisible Woman? Like, I was like, wow, like, okay, Marvel, that's a big move, you know. But then like once Franklin, you know, kind of has this moment with her, and you see her hand move. It's almost like I could feel everyone in the theater go, oh, you know, it was just like, it was such an emotional moment. And it really drew me in. And remember when I said in my Superman review how, you know, my facial expression just barely changed throughout the whole movie just because I was just so bored and it was just something I was so used to. I kid you not, I was like smiling ear to ear within the first like 10 minutes of this movie. It's fun, you know, like it's the action is there, and you know, you get connected with these characters. You really felt like there was this sense of family with the four. It was just, I think, cast really well in that sense. They weren't just like, okay, we need 4 actors, you. No, like they brought together these guys. They really made this bond to where you really feel like they have lived, you know, years together. They've been through a lot together. And there really is this sense of family, and they really do genuinely care about each other. Also, I gotta say, you know, the CGI, I think, has really stepped up. You know, some of the past, you know, Marvel projects just, I mean, I just think about, you know, I recently watched Brave New World, and yeah, there was some rough CGI in that movie. But this one, like, really solid stuff, really good. And you know, this last, you know, ending battle with Galactus, and they're just all using their powers, and it looks so good, and it looks so good to see them just working as a team. We hear the thing say it's clobbering time. I mean, I almost stood up and cheered in the theater. That was just such a good moment. But yeah, man, all around, just such a breath of fresh air for Marvel. I mean, again, I haven't enjoyed something from Marvel in a really long time, and I'm a big fan of Marvel. Like, you know, the Infinity Saga, like, I love all those movies, but it's just been like really dry lately. And you know, this movie in particular, it really surprised me, you know. And when you go in with not a lot of expectation, which I did for this movie, not to say that I think it was, you know, I thought it was going to be terrible or anything, but I didn't think it was going to be great. But it was, and it genuinely surprised me. Like, I was shocked of like how good it was. So yeah, Fantastic Four first steps. I think these are the first steps in a brand new good direction for Marvel. I will say that. And I can't wait to see these guys in Avengers Doomsday. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So there you have it, guys. That's my review of Fantastic Four First Steps. Go see this movie. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, catch you later.